letter has been sent to our editor-in-chief Arnab Goswami. The letter very clearly targeting him and stating that he has in fact spoken about the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. It's threatening him with jail. The big bottom line, once again, undeclared emergency in the state. Let me introduce our guests and my team of colleagues who are joining us today. We have our executive editor Niranjan. We have our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor. We have Atul Bhatalkar, MLA of the BJP, joining us live from Mumbai. Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer, joining us live from Mumbai. Saurabh Shukla, Republic partner and also editor-in-chief of newsmobile.in. And Binay Singh, political analyst. And before I come across to our guests to get a sense of what they feel about this privilege motion and what's said, I want to first go across to Abhishek. Abhishek, they're saying that they are doing this privilege motion against us because Arnab chose to question the Chief Minister. We continue to say we will ask questions from the Chief Minister, especially at a time when every investigation we've done is now being picked up and looked at so closely by the CBI.
Because you know law better than me. Breach of privilege is for the assembly. Now, whatever we have done over the past 2 months is a scrutiny of the government of Maharashtra, which is the executive, and the chief minister is the chief executive, and in that capacity he has been criticized or commented upon, not as member of the legislative assembly of Maharashtra. So, to that extent, as Swapnil would endorse, this notice by itself becomes infractuous, as we call it in the law. Also, as the member of the Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra, the honourable member would testify, certain procedures that need to be followed perhaps have not been followed. So in all likelihood, this notice to Arnab Goswami, our editor-in-chief, would perhaps not stand the scrutiny of law when the matter goes to the court. But then, as has been said in the statement by Arnab, that he would be fighting it out, he would be submitting himself to the process of law, and perhaps whenever called, respond to the assembly as well. And I hope, Rhythm, that institutions like the Editors Guild, for example, take a position on this, because if they take position on issues like journalists getting attacked, this is actually perhaps amounting to misuse of the breach of privilege norms of the assembly, because as I said, whatever we have done over the last 2 months is essentially a scrutiny and critique of the executive arm of the Maharashtra government and not the legislature.
Absolutely. Niranjan, I also want to come to you. It's very clear, and we've studied the law before actually coming forward and speaking about it. The punishment, if someone is found guilty of a breach of law, options are you can give an apology, you can face punishment, you can also move the court. But the larger point, why has the government chosen to give us a motion? Listen to the arguments they've given out. They say that we spoke against the Chief Minister and members of the Shiv Sena. In fact, this motion had been moved in the Assembly by MLA Pratap Sarnaik and in the Legislative Council by Manisha Kayande. When they said this, they also said there was full knowledge of being intentionally cruel. Niranjan, there is an investigation that Republic Media Network's carrying on. Where does the question of trying to be cruel to the Maharashtra government comes? It just doesn't add up.
Well, Rhythm, it's we've had such debates, and it's not the first time we're talking about this issue, right? And the fact that we're talking about this again and again, the fact that we're talking about the non-stop, unrelenting attack, not on media, on Republic Media Network, let me make it very clear. The manner in which they are targeting the Republic Media Network ever since this government came to power, I think it speaks for itself, and our viewers are very intelligent. They're very intelligent, Rhythm. And everybody sees through such attempts to intimidate and harass Republic Media Network. It's not the first time. Palghar lynching, and we were talking about it. Palghar lynching, what happened in Bandra, the motivated FIRs that were filed against our entire network and our editor-in-chief, the manner in which this government has declared an emergency. Anuj, our reporter, was arrested, unheard of. Arrested, India's #1 news network. A reporter is arrested, and now they've given a breach of privilege notice, Rhythm. And let me tell you, what did Arnab ask, and what we as a Republic, as a media network, have asked of this government? Was there a cover-up? Was there a cover-up? Yes, there was, because all of what is happening right now is not what the Mumbai police investigated, right? It's not what the Mumbai police investigated. It's what the central agencies have investigated, and it's what's come to the fore, right? And we're talking about a possible homicide here, and the government and the police here, and the police answers to the government, and we asked them straightforward questions. If they shielded people, they don't like to ask, they don't like to take questions, and I think it's very evident the manner in which this government has gone on to attack the media.
Absolutely. Binay Singh, I want to come to you. This is the first time we are seeing an undeclared state of emergency in Maharashtra, whether it's picking up our reporters, but now it's going a bit too far. A privilege motion against a citizen, which is a rare, unprecedented case, is only being done for personal motivations of trying to either shield someone or trying to be overly besotted with the Chief Minister, as these two motions have been moved.
Ridham, I totally agree with you. And one thing one point I would like to make, that questioning the custodian of the government doesn't amount to breach of privilege. And CM is not the owner of the state; he's the custodian of the government. And one more thing, Ridham, whosoever you are, you can't kill the spirit of this constitution, this nation, and the freedom of this country, which has been gained after a lot of sacrifice. And I feel that the shortcut the government is taking, that shows that the government is in a hurry of something, and they are desperate of the things. And lastly, I would like to quote a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. That quote can be an inspiration of Arnab Goswami and his team, and it can be a lesson, for Uddhav Thackeray and team. The quote from Mahatma Gandhi says that when I despair, I remember that all through the history, the way of truth and love has always won. There has been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible, but in the end they always fall. Think of it always. And I think Mahatma Gandhi is very correct in the today's context, that
Atul,
you may be tyrant,
yes,
but you will fall if you are not on the path of truth. Yes, Ridham.
And they are not on the path of truth. Atul Bhatkalkar, we've clearly seen the kind of details they've given here, and they're saying that we were only saying statements or giving statements against the Chief Minister. On the basis of this, a privilege motion, that is a rare thing that can happen, is being passed. But I want to say this here, this constitution is not a gift to this government to use however they like it. It is their constitution, but it's also our constitution.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is the constitution of 130 crore people. They cannot do whatever they want. And the reason they have given in privilege motion, that Arnab Goswami and Republic Media House has criticized Chief Minister, means earlier I said that it is ridiculous and absurd. Now I am saying it is childish. It is childish, this reason. Privilege motion can be moved only for one reason. If somebody stops any MLA from discharging his duties as an elected representative of the people, just because somebody criticizes him, they cannot move the privilege motion. And if this motion has been signed by the Honorable Speaker of the House, he has degraded the House. So we may, BJP, which is the largest single party in the assembly, will bring no confidence motion against the Speaker of Assembly. I am telling you with full responsibility.
Yes.
This cannot be the subject of privilege of motion.
Absolutely.
Anybody can criticize Chief Minister.
Yes,
anybody can criticize anybody in the state. This cannot be the privilege motion subject, basically.
Absolutely. Swapnil, in fact, I also want to come across to you and ask you not only about the privilege motion. That's true, Atul, absolutely. Swapnil, I want to quickly come across to you. We're a little short of time. I want to ask you, the Maharashtra Vidhan Sabha sent this letter today. They say reply by October 5th. Reply to what? The fact of the matter is a privilege motion is moved against a citizen. This is being used as a tool to target journalists once again in a state in which we've seen our reporters imprisoned. We've seen Kangana Ranaut being treated the way she is by the BMC. We are seeing the calibrated, conscious way in which they continue targeting
Rhythm, all these activities that you've mentioned, the arrest of Anuj and his team, then the issuance of the letter to the cable operators, then this privileged motion, which seems to be the last straw or the last attempt by them to muzzle the press, and especially Republic TV, is a feeble attempt. And if they've asked you to reply by October 5th, then I think you should go ahead and do that, because that is what the legal proceedings would mean. Because, tomorrow when you approach a court of law, the court of law will ask you whether you've replied to this particular motion. So you should go ahead and... Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Swapnil, I just wanted to absolutely, I heard you, and I also want to interrupt you for just a minute to also get in my guest, because we have very less time. So I also want to get Saurabh into the debate. Saurabh, it's clear that this is a target that's being done of Republic TV for saying the truth in cases that are uncomfortable for the government to hear.
Absolutely, there is a pattern of sorts here, and obviously, clearly the freedom of press is being impeded upon and encroached upon. Democracy, in a democracy, we live in a true democracy, and I'm sure nobody, including the lawmakers, are above board. Every citizen, and including journalists like me and Arnab, we have right to ask them the questions, and this is what you have done. I'm sure the rule of law prevails in this country, and Maharashtra Assembly has had glorious traditions. As the Honorable MLA also said, there are bigger issues that the state governments need to address, rather than, getting after journalists who are following the path of truth. This is what we have been trained to do, and we will follow the path of truth all the time and ask the questions to power that be. This is our role as a journalist, which we have to follow. This is a dharma that we have to follow, which is what Arnab and your entire team at Upholding has been doing. I would say that this is what, and I'm glad that there are lawmakers in Maharashtra and other lawmakers who should take, take cognizance of this, and also Honorable Supreme Court should take cognizance of this, that how this privileged law of, this privileged motion is being misused in this form.
That's right. Oh yes, absolutely. Saurabh, on that note, viewers, we're going into a break. I know Swapnil wants to also say something, but my director says we're completely out of time. We're going to continue debating this, viewers. We're going to come back and understand how this government is not only dictatorial, but it's now trying to misuse the law that is not only theirs, but ours as well.